Hey everybody, welcome to American Courts. Trying to fix up some stuff today, trying to get the sound a little bit better. Let me know if it works. We got Sivo Girl, we got Nancy, KK, Fozzie, Roland G, Fozzie again. Looks like we got about everybody. We should have Jay here any moment now. She said she's gonna be in here, so Emily Smiles is here. Got some first appearances in Clayton County. I know there was one woman getting fussy at the beginning, and then by the end of it, there was a sovereign citizen. So let's jump over there and see what they got going on there.
Miss Bill.
Still there?
All right, Miss Bell, you've been charged with public indecency. I've set that bond amount at $1,500. Giving false information to law enforcement, I've set that bond amount at $1,000. Your total bond amount is gonna be $3,000. You will have a preliminary hearing date scheduled for October the 8th. If you bond out before October the 8th, you will not have that hearing, okay?
Okay.
And then give me one moment to look at your form.
Your Honor, hang on for a second. I want to verify something. What's your full name? Ma'am? What is it?
Sylvia Sharon Bell.
All right, Miss Bell, you don't have a job?
I'm here to answer all these questions, man.
She's doing cool.
Okay, y'all can take her.
Thank you.
Come on.
It's my sheet. Where's yours? You got mine.
Coffee shorts. That was Miss,
Tell me what your name is.
Marjorie Smith.
yeah.
Okay, can you confirm that, is it Marjorie Outlaw Smith or is it?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. Give me one moment, Miss Smith.
Yes, ma'am.
Investigator. I'm strong.
All right, Miss Smith, you've been charged with criminal trespass, family violence. I've set your bond amount at $1,500. I want you to understand that I'm not telling you that you can't return to your home, but I need you to hear me very clearly. You are not to have any threatening, harassing, intimidating, violent, aggressive contact with DeMarcus Smith. Does that make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Can I ask a question, please?
As long as you don't ask me anything about the specific facts of your case,
I
yeah.
was just saying like criminal trespassing, because that's my home, I own it.
It doesn't allege that you criminally trespassed in the home. It alleges that you threw his phone up against the wall.
No, I just threw it down on the carpet, that was it.
Okay. Well, do you have any other questions for me?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so your bond amount is $1,500 and you have a preliminary hearing date, which is scheduled for October the 8th. Do you want to waive it or do you want to keep it scheduled?
I want to waive it.
Okay, give me one moment to change that on your paperwork.
So if I pay the bond, I don't have to come to the hearing?
That's correct. That's correct.
Okay,
Give me one moment, okay?
yes, ma'am.
For application for court-appointed counsel and it's approved. She does need to sign the waiver.
Yes, ma'am.
You take a miss. Get up, you got
Yeah, you can talk on. You can talk on.
You can go to lower release.
Brooks.
Okay.
My God. You know, go to a lot of this.
Jakayla, Miss Keith, you've been charged with simple battery family violence. I've set that bond amount at $2,500. However, today I'm gonna allow you to be released on an unsecured judicial release, which means you won't have to pay anything to get out. Okay, Jakayla, I need you to understand that I don't want you to have any contact, and you cannot have any contact with Julius Harrison whatsoever. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Do you all live together?
No, ma'am.
Come on, bro.
Okay, okay, thank you. She needs to sign a waiver.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, that includes the females.
Is that all the females?
Yes.
Okay, give me just one moment because I need to, Miss Smith, Miss Outlaw Smith, who is the add-on. Give me just one moment to make a change to her document. And then we can bring on the guys forward.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Brown, you've been charged with aggravated assault. Because of the nature of your charge, you don't have a bond for the charge that you've been charged with. You do have special bond conditions, which is going to require you to stay away from Arlisa Altman Brown. And at this juncture, you also cannot return to 739 Tower Bend. That won't be able to be amended until sometime after, if you get your bond conditions changed. You live at that residence or at that location? Okay. Okay, I'm gonna put in a provision that once you are able to get a bond and do bond out, that you are able to go to that home and retrieve your personal items. You are gonna have a preliminary hearing date, which is gonna be scheduled for October the 9th. And then you're also gonna have a bond hearing date, which is scheduled for October the 11th. So
October?
you will be there until October.
I'm locked up until October. You know what you're saying?
That's correct.
Okay.
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 So I'm sorry.
That's fine. It's okay.
So your preliminary hearing date is gonna be October 9th. And then your bond hearing date is gonna be that Friday, October the 11th, okay?
Yeah.
Give me one moment.
Could you explain something to me?
It depends on what you want me to explain to you, but go ahead.
Why is it so serious? Because my history
It's the charge.
is a charge. But okay, it's gonna be resolved in court. Okay.
Yeah, I would prefer you not to say anything right
I
now.
got you. So I just sign right here?
Yeah, so you're gonna sign right there, and on the computer, and then as far as an attorney,
I take I ain't got no money like this. I take what's called it?
do you have a job?
I'm disabled. If you see on
Okay.
paper, I'm disabled, so.
Okay, so I'm gonna approve you for a court-appointed attorney, okay?
That'll work.
All righty, thank you.
Thank you.
Number 7, all the way down to the end.
So.
All the straight down to the end on your right. All the way down.
Are you Mr. Brown? Come on, Brown.
Yes.
Come on.
Oh,
All right, Mr. Brown, you've been charged with window tint violation. I've set that bond amount at 500. First offense, possession of marijuana, less than an ounce, 1,000. And possession of drug-related objects, $500. Your total bond amount is $2,000. However, you're gonna be released today on an unsecured judicial release, which means that you would not have to pay anything to get out today. Did you want me to consider you for a free attorney?
Yes, please.
All right, I've considered that and approved it. You are gonna sign the computer and you're also gonna sign a waiver form, okay?
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mhm.
So the door.
So Brandon, on the paper?
Come on here. Sign right here. And later on this afternoon, they're gonna let you go home. They'll call for your car. But I just go back downstairs all the way to the end. The house on your right.
Please sign your honor.
Thank you. The next person should be Mr. Cooper. Okay, Mr. Cooper, you have been charged with driving while license suspended, as well as failure to maintain lane. For the driving while your license is suspended, I've set that bond amount at $1,500. For the failure to maintain lane, I've set that bond amount at $500. Your total bond amount is gonna be $2,000. However, today you're gonna be released on an unsecured judicial release, which means you won't have to pay to get out. Do you want me to consider you for a free attorney?
No, ma'am.
Are you gonna try to represent yourself? Or are you gonna hire an attorney?
I might hire one. I'm all right.
You sure?
Yeah. Well, you can consider me for one. Sure.
Okay, well, I'm gonna approve you for an attorney, and then if you hire one later, you can just, the other attorney will substitute out, okay?
All right, thank you.
Good afternoon.
You're welcome. I need you to sign the computer and you're also gonna sign a waiver.
So Brandon, sign the paper.
Slum Lake. All the way down to the end of the hallway. Slum Lake, house in here on your right.
All right, are you Joshua Cotton?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, Mr. Cotton, you've been charged with aggravated stalking. Because of the nature of your charge, you do not have a bond. Your bond would be denied for that, charge. You are gonna be required to continue to stay away from Miss Hardy, Penny Hardy.
I was nowhere around this woman. I have no contact with her. I haven't had no phone in 7 to 8 days. This woman.
So I get what you're saying, and I know you want to explain that to me, but you remember, so I can't consider what you're saying right now. And you will have the opportunity to say that.
It's fine, Your Honor, because my
Okay.
people in Washington, the federal bill know everything about me, so it's no problem.
Okay, so you're gonna have a preliminary hearing scheduled for October the 9th, and then you're gonna have a bond hearing on October the 11th, okay? All right, do you want me to consider you for a free attorney?
That's what you want to, because I can't stand appropriate persona.
You did what now?
I can't stand appropriate persona, but you can go ahead, depends on how they're talking.
Okay, are you alleged to be a sovereign citizen?
You can go ahead and give me.
Well, you can tell me what you want to do, because on the paperwork, you said that you refused a court-appointed attorney, and if you refuse it, I can just sign off on it and say, okay, and we can move along. This isn't my decision, it's yours.
Go ahead and give me one here.
Okay, do you have a job?
Yes, I run my own company.
Okay, and how much do you make at that company each month?
Well, it depends. Top Gun Limousine Service, Theodore Ernest Cotton III is my dad. I own the limousine business. I own
So
clock.
how much do you make
That's all.
each month, sir? That's all.
I don't know. I don't know, man. Shoot, maybe about 10,000-15,000.
10,000-15,000 a month?
But I'm just now getting home. I've been set
Okay.
up.
Well, if you're making $10,000 or $15,000 from
But
your
I
job,
don't have, I don't have no means.
Mr. Cotton, I'm trying to be very respectful of you,
No,
and
I'm
I
not
try to
being
be very
disrespectful. All right,
respectful
sorry,
of
let's go.
everybody else.
To intake. Let's go to intake, so.
No,
Thank you.
no, y'all.
Hey, everybody. I like the way that judge just kind of shuts them up. She doesn't like to play with the sovereign citizen stuff. And that one lady at the front asking why are you asking all them comments? She just went in and sends her on to the back. This a Thurston PPO hearing from last week. I never got to show it. I've got a couple of them I wanted to show. I think this judge here, I can't pronounce his name. He's got a very difficult name, but he's one of my favorite judges. He's kind of a fill-in judge over there, and he's good and fair about it. And if someone didn't do the paperwork right, they just he drops it off. But thank you everybody for coming in. I seen quite a few new names tonight I hadn't seen before, but I thank y'all for being here. Saw that Casey Crimson. We're gonna go with Crimson. How about that? Nancy, you saying you can't hear me? I'm not sure what you need on there. Or is it the defendant you couldn't hear? We'll go with that unless you tell me different. Nancy, I can hear me just fine, so it's hard for me to tell. All right, we're gonna jump on this one here. Yep. Crimson, Judge Dennis Hopper. That's a good reference for this judge. Let's go and see how it goes.
Just realized actually I'm not hearing. Well, good morning. Would you be Regina Attaway? Good morning. If you could step up to this table, please. Okay. Ms. Attaway, this isn't in the way of scolding or anything. This is, court did start at 9. I could have issued the denial order at 9 because you weren't here. I was waiting until 9:30 just in case there was a transportation problem or something like that. I say that mostly because some of the judges would have just dismissed right at 9, or granted it rather, a default, right at 9. I would rather the court take a couple extra minutes on the day and see if somebody shows up than have to go through the trouble of having somebody try to reopen it. The court does prefer that things get heard on the merits. Okay.
I can hold on now if you want.
What's that?
I can hold on now if you want, or I have all the other ones too.
All right. All right, so the way this is, actually, I see we have an attorney showing up, Dana Ryan.
Morning, Your Honor.
Good morning, Mr. Ryan. Are you here on the civil anti-harassment calendar?
No, I'm not. I am on the City of Lacey criminal calendar. I must have the wrong courtroom.
I think that would be courtroom, is it 2 this morning?
I think so.
We'll take a look and see which courtroom it is and let you know so you can get on over there.
Thanks, Judge.
Courtroom 2 this morning.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, returning to case 24-000246. I'm going to ask each of you to raise your right hand, please. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor. I do.
All right. I'm going to start with Ms. Rabello because this is your request for an order. You've been sworn in. I have reviewed the petition, but I still need to just hear the general general facts surrounding it so that we all know exactly what we're talking about here, okay?
Absolutely. So to begin, my family and I, my fiance and my 18-month-old son, we had just moved into our apartments, Bellwether Apartments. And we had been moved in for about less than a week when we had had our first encounter with Miss Attaway. It had started with her coming up to our door, knocking on our door repeatedly, saying that she has a leak in her ceiling and asked if we know any plumbers and why don't we know any plumbers and who gave us permission to move in here without asking our neighbors for permission. She had also asked why we didn't have a house. She had continued to ask, well, what was my son's schedule? Why wasn't that communicated to her when we moved in? So I was like, I had told Miss Attaway, I was like, well, respectfully, if you have anything, you know, in terms of like noise complaints or anything, feel free to go to the apartment. So I was like, I am done speaking with you in regards to this, and I closed my door. And since then, I have been communicating with my apartments actively, giving them every piece of information, every encounter that me and Ms. Attaway have had. Since that first encounter, things have progressively gotten worse. There was an instance where we'd opened our door one morning and there were brooms and mops and like a Swiffer that were blocking our exit of our apartment because it's where we're at. You have to go up 3 flights of stairs and then it's just our apartment up there, and then up to the side of us there's nobody there, and then there's stairs to get down. So she had put the brooms in between the stairs and the wall so that way I would like trip or something going down the stairs with my son.
I'm going to interrupt you here.
Absolutely.
Did you see her do that?
I did not, but I did purchase a Ring camera after that.
Okay. Go ahead and continue.
When I had given that information to my apartments, the apartments actually did contact Miss Attaway, and she did say that it was her that who put them there and that she must have forgot that she had left them there. And then after the matter, she had started to take a broom and thump on her ceiling, so my floor, and at all hours of the night. My son is asleep from 8 p.m. to 8 a.m. every day, and he's a really hard sleeper, so he's like knocked out throughout the night. That doesn't faze him at all, but it does faze me. And this one particular instance in regards to the case number that was referred in the matter, when I had to call the police, it's about 5 o'clock in the morning. I had heard the thudding so hard that I checked my son's baby monitor, and the baby monitor was shaking off of the wall. And he was like, I could see his cheeks moving in his crib. He was like shaking in his crib because she was thumping so hard underneath his room. So I had started to record, and I was like, I had followed the noise because I was like, what is going on? Is somebody in trouble? Like, what's going on? And then I had followed the thud that was coming from Miss Attaway's apartment. Again, this was at 5 o'clock in the morning. I had knocked on the door because that's what my apartment had advised me to do. Hey, if there's a noise complaint between neighbors, knock on your guys' door first, try to solve it between you guys first, and then come to us. So I was doing that. When I had knocked, she had waited a couple minutes and a couple more thuds. And then she swung open the door and swung the broom at me. If I had not stepped back, the broom would have struck me in the head. Then she slammed her door, said some profanity, and then I walked up to my apartment and I called the police. And the police were on their way. I had continued to record because I just had a feeling. Miss Attaway then exits her apartment again. She tries to walk up the stairs to come up to my apartment. I stop her by the mid stairs, and just by verbal confirmation, I just say, stop. I'm like, you cannot come up here. You do not have any rights up here. You need to stop. The police are on their way. Like, the police are on the way. And you could tell she was intoxicated. Every time there's been an encounter with her, it's been when she has been intoxicated. So far that she's been stumbling over and anyways, so she had like stumbled and sat down, waited a couple minutes, and then said, "Thanks for knocking on my door." And I said, "Thanks for banging shit on my roof." Or sorry. And then she had started this like crazy laugh. Like, I don't want to imitate it because it's in the recording. But yeah. And then the police arrived. I had discussed with them what was going on, and so sorry. And then they said, "Okay, we're gonna go try to make contact, and then we're gonna try to arrest her, and then see where it goes from there." Yeah, because they found probable cause for assault in the fourth, which is listed in the police report as well. And they tried to make contact with Miss Attaway. They were knocking, knocking, knocking. She opens up the door completely naked. And then the police ask her, "Hey, can you go put on some clothes so we can talk?" She slams the door in the cop's face, locks her door, doesn't answer the door for them the rest of the time. Police come back up and say, "Hey, we can't really go in there unless we have a warrant. We're going to refer this to the prosecuting attorney." Things you can do to protect yourself until then is you can go and get an anti-harassment order or a protection order. And then we will refer this to the prosecuting attorney, and then they will contact you from there. And then since that accident, Miss Attaway had put bricks in front of her door. One that has a Bible scripture on it saying, "God will get me out of the things that I cannot," with a date on it. That's the date that we moved in. And then she was carrying, the other day when I was coming home from work, she was carrying the brick. She had walked out of her car, looked at me. She was intoxicated. And she had the brick in her pocket, and she was just drunkily walking back to her apartment. And then she like does it so slowly, and she knows when, like every time that we're outside, she's outside, and she just stares at us. So, and that's very concerning because I have my 18-month-old child. If she were to come at me with this brick while I have my 18-month-old child, I could probably take a hit with a brick and survive, but my son cannot. So it is very concerning. The harassment hasn't stopped. Our apartments have issued her a comply or evict because of the harassment, and they specifically said because of harassment in the order. And that's why we are here today.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Attaway, I anticipate your version will be somewhat different, but you've already been sworn in. This is your opportunity. What would you like me to know?
My first time meeting with my neighbor, I'm not really good with names, was as we were both walking into our building, crossing, saying, "Hey," never had officially met, but waved. About a week later, after they had immediately moved in. So we're walking past, going different directions. They're both coming in or both going out. And I actually stopped them and said, "Hey, my name is this and that. Okay, hi." And I met the family. The family invited me up into their home as they were coming in with another relative that I don't know them to be one of the three that lives there. And we went inside their home and we chatted. They asked me, can I show them where this began because of a leak that was over. I live directly under them. I live on the second, they live on the third. I've lived in the apartment since March. So I came in. The family continued to do their normal things. The baby was going places. I think the gentleman and the lady that I don't know to be a resident started doing haircuts. I lifted up the mat as me and the missus were speaking, and we were looking for wetness. So I didn't see any wetness. We talked about going swimming. We have a pool at our complex. We talked about how long have you not been together, but just neighborly things, just getting introduced. This is our very first physical contact. After minor chats, maybe even 10 minutes, I gotta go back, I'm left. I went to my home, did whatever I was gonna do that afternoon. I'm not sure if I was drinking. Maybe 10 minutes later, it dawned on me that I didn't leave my phone number. If we were talking about going swimming at the complex, if there's any other leaks that they could call and let me know about, just to have a neighborly number. I got a card that I had gotten from another neighbor, tore it in half, and I was kind of in my mind thinking this is a neighborly chain that we're starting. So I wrote my information on it, took it upstairs, say hi, hey, nice to meet you. Here's my number, call me. The note said, welcome to the building, my name, phone number. They took it. I don't think there was any conversation about anything else because we had just got done talking about minor stuff. They took the number, I went home. Shortly after that, I returned. This is the same day, or this will be my third visit. I said, hey, this is loud. It's been that way for a while. On the third visit, I happened to notice that there was a ball in the missus' hand when they opened it. The gentleman was right behind the missus, grabbing the baby. And I'm thinking, I asked, do you guys normally play sports inside of a third floor apartment? I don't know, have you ever lived in third floor before? So these were just chats to see, is this something that's going to continue? This is, again, the very first day of a physical contact. We had already exchanged numbers, but we didn't exchange. I had already provided mine. So I think on that visit, the third instance of that day, I think the questions that I were asking, she didn't like them. I was saying wasn't rude. I was asking kind of informative questions. What time will this happen? Are you used to living in apartments? I'm not. Is this going to be something regular? And I think maybe 5 questions later, she's like, I don't want you to talk to you anymore. Anything else? We're just go to the complex. I have not spoken to her physically since then. I am a smoker. I am out in the parking lot at least 5 times a day smoking my cigarettes. I work evenings. I work at least 5 days out of the week. So between those times, you won't see me. I don't think I've seen this person other than if you see a car and somebody gets out, there's no glaring. The brick, these are things that I'm placing in front of my door that my neighbor has to pass to go up, but they're not for her. They're not intruding. The complex has not sent me any information that says, hey, you're blocked, fire hazard. So someone, and just for information, there's 2 bricks. And this was an instruction from a church matter that says, put something spiritual on the brick and put it where everyone can see it, or as many people can see it. I live in an apartment complex, to put it in the back window, it doesn't follow the instruction. So, and these, I'm not sure of the note, because the note was written by another family member. This is how they put their information on their brick. My brick was written fully on the brick and marker. So I'm not sure of how she read my child's note sitting directly on my doormat. Brooms and sticks. If I'm cleaning, I set them to dry. I don't go upstairs to set them down. They're directly in front of my door, on my doormat. I can't be responsible for making people feel uncomfortable with, I think, okay questions that someone should know in a civil world. I can't be responsible for someone getting uncomfortable with things that are of my right to do. Police coming to I'm not sure why there was a knock at the door or who answered the door when my neighbor came down on a particular day. I recall the police coming. I don't know what led her to that. And I didn't want to speak to the police at 5 in the morning. After so much knocking and banging and yelling my name, I did open the door to say, hey, this is not a good time. I'm sleeping, and I sleep in the nude. That's just how it's been. I have worked at the same corporation since 2007. I have worked graveyard for 20 years. I have children of all ages, and I never have been questioned about anything of violence that I would ensue on anyone. I would be bothered if I was to be told noises is making someone uncomfortable. I'm a domestic abuse survivor. That's how I ended up. I'm a Midwesterner and I live in Seattle. Moved to Washington, first to Seattle because of a flea. My steps to move to Olympia in March was to dial back kind of the noise, the traffic, decrease kind of random violence. And I had such a peaceful time until March where I could no longer sleep at my sleeping hours that I have been sleeping for years. I have not carried bricks ever in my life in my pockets, ever. I have not staring at one neighbor or another, and I wouldn't do anything to anyone's children, even in defense. But I believe that physical is only for defending yourself. And that's because you need to physically defend yourself and you don't have time to get help. I am not aware of multiple violation notes from my apartment complex. I received a phone call the day after the 3 visits in a day. And after I received that information in the phone call, I have not, and that was in July. I have not been to anyone's store. Again, I don't carry bricks. When I did get the call about the mops and brooms, they said, oh, I must have left them out there drying. Let me move them. I didn't see any mops and brooms at all. I believe things are being made and elevated or created without reasonable conversation. That's all I believe I have been told about answering to.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like me to consider?
I would like you to consider that if I am videoed in my home, that could possibly be unlawful.
Okay. All right. It is your petition. Do you have any final words? You don't have to say anything additional.
I do have my fiance who did want to say something in regards to this, if he wanted to.
You could have him sworn in as a witness, but he's been sitting here listening to the whole thing. So I would anticipate he's just going to say essentially the same things that you said. Okay. All right. Well,
May I
given,
judge?
you may briefly.
It is correct that I am astounded about moving from the residence. And my lease, I'm not within a lease, so I am free to leave as of August 30th. Will be doing that gladly.
Okay. Given what I've heard, I have balanced the facts that I find from both sides. And I am going to issue an anti-harassment order. What I did not hear that I think would have been appropriate. Sounds like the main problem, aside from potential, aside from an alleged assault and potential behavior that may have frightened Ms. Rebello, the knocking on the ceiling. And I heard no denial of that, and I have decided, in part based on that, that I am going to issue this order. I am not going to be putting any distance restriction on here. So I'm not making you leave the apartment or anything of that sort. I will indicate, however, that if there is knocking on the ceiling, which is her floor, that is audible from her apartment, that would be a violation. Okay. You'll each have a copy of this in just a moment. Because you live so close to one another, I've had to make some changes to the standard order. The form doesn't really give us a place to do that except for a one line that says other. And so I've had to compress this a bit, and I hope everyone can read it. Just in case you can't, I'm going to make it very clear right now. No attempts to communicate with the petitioner. That would include pounding on your ceiling. You're not to go within 50 feet of her any place outside of the apartment building. When you're going to your apartment, you can go to your apartment. Don't go up to the third floor or approach her apartment. And I added anything else in that. Standard distance is 1,000 feet, and obviously that's not going to work when you live right there. I believe that covers everything that I ordered. No harassing, no contacting, just hopefully the two of you can live your lives, hopefully quietly and peacefully. But I did find sufficient basis for there to be an order.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions?
I do not.
Okay. Do you have any questions? I'll have copies for you here in just a moment.
Actually, I do have a question. Is that order, like how you said, oh, these are the restrictions, if any of those restrictions are breached, do I just call law enforcement?
Give me just a moment. I'm having trouble
Sorry.
hearing over the printer. I heard the first part of that, but then I wasn't.
You're
So,
okay.
okay.
If any of those restrictions are breached in that order, do I just contact law enforcement or?
If you believe there's been a violation of the order, yes, you would just contact law enforcement. I will say, although this is not in my rule, if Ms. Attaway is working evenings or nights, try to keep that in mind.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
We really want everyone to be getting along.
Yes, I
And-
take him to the park like 90% of the time. The only time I'm
That's-
home really is to like bath and eat. Like,
That's fine. I just wanted to say, you know, make an extra effort so that hopefully this can just fade away and not be an issue. There is one copy here. Why don't you go ahead and pick it up? And we'll have a good day. We'll have a copy for you in just a moment. There's your copy. Give them a couple minutes to head out.
I do. Something technical.
On our website too.
Would I still use it? Right.
Just Google this person. The only thing that I have to have it.
Well, I watched this earlier, and I truly don't know. It shows that I got 3 minutes left on this, and I really thought it was over. So, kind of curious how this one's going to end. I somewhat believe what everybody's saying in there about that this was no reason
think
to create an.
If you go to the district court website,
Let me shut him up. That he shouldn't have created an order, but I kind of, you know, I somewhat trust the judge's opinion in the fact of he knows it's just going to continue to get worse. And, you know, you want to ask for an order, go ahead and give you the order. And that way you can see the end result of it. Cause they're going to end up escalating it and it's going to get worse. But with there being an order, you know, it'll put the police in the middle of it. And, you know, maybe they'll both learn their lessons on it. I know the lady living in the second floor apartment, that's a horrible, horrible position to be in if somebody above you is making noise, because you know you're walking on tiptoes as it is, and the person below you is you know, fussing about you, and so everything's just continued mess on it. I'm gonna say Lisette. I can't pronounce your name. I'm bad at spelling and even worse at speaking, so I'm just gonna have to say hey. And we've Yep, absolutely. Uh-oh. So thank you everybody for joining the Discord. There was, you know, quite a few people coming in there in just the last few minutes, so it's neat to see a Discord link that works. Thank you, Jay, for that. You're awesome. I'm glad for any time you're able to help. You know, you're always there for us. Thank you. All right, we're gonna go. Looks like they got Fight Club going on in the moderator side. So Sally, you were asking about the green and the blue. I use a different program than most of the streamers. Most of the streamers use StreamYard, and I've never played around with StreamYard. I don't know anything about StreamYard. I use a different program that I use for work as well. And so that's what I use for it. I may play around with StreamYard one day, but I don't know. Sally, Jay and both Jay and Fozzie put a link up for the Discord. And so the link is there. It's pinned up at the top. On my screen, it's a white link, but I believe if your screen is white, it's a black link. So it's up there. So, all right, we're gonna go to another Thurston County. Now this one you know, we allow all comments, but just be respectful in the comments. There's a couple of touchy subjects discussed in it. It's kind of a group home, and there's, you know, slurs called towards each other, and people being, you know, just people being general asses to each other. And so just be cautious on it, and, you know, don't let the comments go too far. I'm good for any comment, but in the end, I don't want anybody getting their feelings hurt or just, you know, just being plain out mean with each other. And I don't see that in this group, but I kind of feel like I should say something before I throw it up there. So y'all be nice, and here we go on the next one.
So, Mr. Fields, I'll hear from you first. Looks like all your petitions, I did review the petitions. They look kind of similar. And I'm frankly, I'm having a difficult time figuring out where we're at here. So I'm hoping you can clear that up for me.
Okay.
So could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
How is it you need orders against, again, I'm going to go through each one of these.
Okay.
Start this because this is the order of the calendar. Mr. Allen first, then Mr. Johnson, then Mr. Schwenning, and then Mr. Klingberg. But before you start, I just have one question. Do you live at Drexel House too?
Yes,
So
sir.
all 5 of you folks live at Drexel House, is that correct?
Yes.
Yes, Your Honor.
Except for
Yes, Your Honor.
Stephen, even though he lives with Terrence, he doesn't live there.
Okay.
He's out of his caregiver, but he's there
Okay,
all the
so
time.
again, how is it that, why do you need orders against these folks?
Okay, for
Terrence, start with Terrence Allen first, just
Terrence.
because he's first on the calendar.
Terrence Allen, he has verbally attacked me. He has followed me outside the building, across the street. Then him and Stephen, Terrence was in front yelling at me. He spit on me. Stephen was behind him with a knife, and they actually tried to assault me. Then one of the guys came out and pulled me away from there. Stephen tried to hit me with his car. Since I moved in July of last year, I've had issues with Terrence and with Stephen for the same issues. They will follow me to the gas station. Stephen will follow me to the Albertsons. He always has the knife and other weapons with him.
This is Stephen Klingberg you're
Yes,
talking about?
Yes, he does. He will actually follow me inside of Albertsons. At home, Mr. Terrence Allen has threatened me over and over. He spit in my face. I called the landlord, and I do have a copy of the December, when it started again, I have a copy of the police report. And the police told me I have, the number is 20.
Okay, I don't have access to that.
Okay.
And, in terms of a police report, I can't get those.
Okay. Well, I did file the police report. They said I had to come here and deal with the harassment first, and then also I put in for small claims as well for the money that they owe me. Mr. Allen has owed me since the beginning of the year. He was going to pay it, and then they got belligerent and said he's not going to do anything, calls me everything.
How much money does he owe you?
He owes me $1,000.
Why?
I lent him money when we went to a casino. Same thing with Mr. Stephen. He has got money out of my room and says he's gonna pay me back, and he didn't want Alan to know anything about it. He owes me also $1,000.
So,
and they continue to harass me, saying they're not gonna pay me. They drop me off on the corner or try to tag me on the side of the corner. And that's when it all got worse. And that's when I went to the landlord.
And so what do the folks at Drexel House have to say about all this?
They claim that they won't tell me what they've done to them, but it's still happening. Even
they're
yesterday,
still living there?
Yes, sir. Even yesterday, when I was leaving the building, Terrence was right behind me. Right behind me. He should not be around me at all. And they continue to do it, even after you gave them this.
What about, I haven't heard anything about Mr. Schwenning or Mr. Johnson.
So we do one thing at a time. I can go to the next one.
Go ahead.
Okay, Mr. Swing, Joshua, he is the one who actually put my computer inside my room. When he did that, he intentionally yelled at me again. I guess he's on some kind of medication. And when he's not on the medication, he will come into the room. He hit me once, then turned around, sent me another text message to come upstairs because he owed me money as well. I went upstairs, he opened the door, then he slammed the door in front of me. I never went inside his room whatsoever, and that's what I reported to the management again, or to their lawyer as well. he says that he has sexually harassed me. And he actually sent a picture of himself in not clothed. And I have a copy of that picture as well. He will continue. His car is in front. He came to where I used to have a vehicle. He came to my car and said that I owed him money because I should have paid him more money for doing the computer. I paid him the $200 that he asked for. He turns around and took more money from me. He owes me a total of $455 because all the stuff that he asked me to buy, he's now will not do it. And he continues tells me that that I'm a fag, he's a fag, that all of them together, I guess they know each other, Terrence, Allen, and Joshua. And I can't deal with him because when he is not on his medication or when he's doing drugs, he approaches me. And that's the issue I have. As for Mr. Johnson, Michael, he actually in front of Gina yelled at me again. What happened with him was he actually had my vehicle, had an accident, would not, first he said that it was the guy's fault, but he hit the guy from behind. He will not pay me the money that he owes me for that.
So he was in your car?
He was in my car and had an accident. And they totaled the car completely. He did give me $200. I can say that. But other than that, he has not paid the rest of it, which is a total of $5 grand. And that's a copy of what the insurance company that I've lost.
Okay.
And that's why all of them is together.
Well, let me hear from them. And Mr. Allen, I'm just gonna, again, just because this is the order that's on the calendar, I'll go Mr. Allen, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Schwenning, and then Mr. Klingberg. So Mr. Allen, could you raise your right hand? What were you saying something?
Text messages from all of them of what they owe me.
Yeah, I don't see, did you file any of that?
No, I tried to get it to it, but I have it here.
Okay, okay, hang on, just put your hand down there just for a second.
Yeah, I have text messages from them.
Okay. So Mr. Allen, go raise your hand. Sorry about that. You swear to affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, yes, sir.
You can put your hand down. I'll hear your response to what Mr. Fields is asking for. You can put your hand down.
It's just the lag in the computer.
Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay. So, Your Honor, none of that is true. The part I owe him money is true because we went to the casino and he did give me money to play, and I said I would pay him back, and I just hadn't paid him back yet, which I will pay him back. But the rest of the stuff is not true. There's no, I've never assaulted him. I never verbally assaulted him. I never did any of those things to him. I didn't follow him outside, across the street, or anything like that. I have witnesses here for that incident that happened that night. I have witnesses here that the person that he was involved in, I have them here in my place as a witness, if that's the incident that he's talking about. And I also have the gentleman that he says told him to stop, which is my neighbor, which is the person that lives right next door to me, that they were all there. So none of that is true. The only thing is true is that he gave me some money to play at the casino. I wasn't feeling well. I was going to come back home, and I didn't want to ruin his night and my friend's night because that was driving him. So I decided to just stay in the car. They made me get out of the car and go in the casino, and my foot was swollen so big. It was just huge. And I just was so uncomfortable. And that's it. I owe him money. He loaned me money or to play at the casino, and I pay him back. That's it. I never was belligerent about it. I said I never sent him nasty emails about it or anything like that.
How much do you owe him?
He gave me $200. I also have the text messages from that particular
the evening or what have you, and me telling him that I'll pay him back what I owe him. And it's nowhere near $1,000. I don't even know where that came from.
So when did this trip to the casino take place?
It was in March, between March and April. I can look on my phone's charging up.
So about 5 or 6 months ago?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So you guys were friends at one point?
Oh, yes, sir. I had no problems with Mr. Fields. The only time I had a problem with Mr. Fields is, and I'm not going to bring, because that's his old, I told him before that I didn't want him to talk to me or my friends or my guests because he was being inappropriate with them. And they came to me. And so if my guests in my home are uncomfortable, then I'm uncomfortable and I have to address that issue. So I addressed that issue. And I said, told Mr. Fields to cease all conversation with me, all communication with me and my guests. And I went downstairs. And I told the resident assistant, I had them log it into the computer, what was going on, and that no longer wanted to affiliate ourselves with him. And that was before even the casino time. And so I didn't speak to Mr. Fields for about maybe almost a year, until this past January or December, when I came back from Texas. He knocked on my door and said that there was some food over there at the other building that the Knights of the Columbus had brought over for the veterans. And I was getting dressed anyway. And I said, well, thank you. That was awful nice of you. I said, I appreciate that. That was my first interaction with him after the almost a year of not speaking with him. And so then that boiled down. He started coming back down to the house. And I said, okay, I'm going to let that water be under the bridge. When we had a discussion about the inappropriateness. That still continued on even then. And so I stayed pretty much my distance, and I wouldn't engage myself. But he came down to my home. I mended his pants probably sometime in March or April. What else did I do? I mean, I did everything. I even wished him happy. I cooked him food. I wished him a happy Father's Day. That's the last time that I said any messages to Mr. Field was that a happy Father's Day. And against the allegation of Mr. Fields saying that I was behind him yesterday, that's not true, Your Honor. I went upstairs to the 4th floor to get my friend Saka, who is going to help me with some issues I have, some stuff I had to do. And so he wasn't home. He stayed on the 4th floor. So I pushed the elevator, and I got in the elevator from the 4th floor, and I went back down to my floor, which is the 2nd floor. And when I got down to the 2nd floor, when the elevator opened up, there was Mr. Fields there. Why he was on the 2nd floor, I don't know. And so I just politely just walked on by, didn't say anything to him, and went into my room, and that was it. I never followed him into Albertsons. I never said any of those things to him at all. And I read the petition, and and it said that I called him names like the N-word, and then had rape in parentheses. And I've never did anything like that or said anything like that. I don't even talk like that. True that.
Let me hear, and since you're there with you, let me hear from Mr. Klingberg next. I know it's a little bit out of order. Mr. Klingberg, could you raise your right hand? You swear and affirm the information you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, sir.
And do you guys live together?
No, I'm his. Can I put my hand down?
Yes, of course. Sorry.
I'm his caregiver, and he pretty much needs around the clock care, like, so yeah, I pretty much stay here, but I'm not actually living here.
Got it. Go ahead. I'll hear from you on this issue, on these issues.
Well, as far as the money thing, I didn't know that I owed him anything. He offered to pay me $100 to take him, to let him ride with us to the Emerald Queen Casino, because he didn't have a ride or whatever. So he offered to pay me $100. We go out to the casino and we're on our way back, and now he wants to argue and cuss at us about it and debate what he said he would pay me, and I don't like to argue. I'm not a drama guy. And so I was just like, dude, you said $100. $100 is what it should be. He didn't even give me the $100 in the end. It was, I don't know what it was. I can't remember, but it wasn't no $100. And I was okay with that, and running the car down and running him down in my car. That's just absurd. I mean, he's walking, you know, like I would never try to harm a senior, let alone a veteran. You know, yeah. I have no quarrel with the dude. I don't speak to him on any level. We're all gonna run past each other in the hallways or going outside. You know, we live in the same building. You know, we're bound to run into each other, right? You know, and I don't ever talk to him. I don't ever look at him. I don't even acknowledge that he is there because we've had problems. And he has targeted me before, which is another police problem that happened just recently. It was like maybe a month ago, something like that.
Tell me about that.
Well, I was helping, we had a neighbor two doors down on the same floor as us. His name was Dennis. And he was leaving, you know, he got evicted from here. So I was just helping him move because there wasn't anybody else that would help him. He only had a few little things left, you know, enough to fill a car or two. And I was literally in his room, picking things up with both hands, you know, lifting like you would. And I take it all the way down the stairs, and I was stuffing my car, stuffing his car, you know, not even noticing anything else going on. I was completely focused on, you know, getting this stuff done because it was hot as hell that day. Excuse my language. And you know, we put the last things in the car. Dennis gets in his car and he's already pulling out of his parking spot as I'm getting into my car. But I see Dennis stopped talking to somebody, and it is Mr. Fields. And, you know, so I'm just like, okay, so I get in my car and started waiting for him to get done talking so we can go. I was going to follow him to a storage unit. And at some point I noticed Dennis start to, like, I guess you could say he was trying to holler at me, you know, but my windows were up. So he signaled for me, right? And I'm like, okay, what's going on? And he says, he's trying to find his phone and it's somewhere in this area. And Mr. Fields instantly comes directly toward me, toward my car. Oh, it automatically has to be in my car, you know? And so Dennis, being the good guy he is, and me too, he's like, well, if you want us to sit here and wait, you know, until you find your phone, you know, just to prove that it wasn't us or in our cars, then we can do that. So we did that. And yeah, we pretty much sat there. He called the cops and insisted that it was in my car or Dennis's car, mainly mine. And when the cop showed up, she was like, you know, she pretty much, I wouldn't say she laughed it off, but she knew it wasn't in our cars. She knew we had nothing to do with this.
Let me hear from Mr. Schwenning. Mr. Schwenning, can you activate your camera for a minute? Hi, could you raise your right hand, please? You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, Your Honor, I do.
I'll hear from you.
So on July 9th, I was involved in an incident that led to the filing of a police report, which is central to why we are here today. The report was officially filed by an officer's schedule, but I remember the Officer Magdaleno, which is also who Mr. Terrence mentioned as well. She was the one who interacted with me directly over the phone after the incident. I had already left the scene and returned to my apartment, so Officer Magdaleno called me and we discussed what happened there. The police report makes some key points that I'd like to highlight. First, there's audio video footage of the incident that has been uploaded to evidence.com, which clearly shows what happened that day. During the conversation with Officer Magdaleno, she noticed that I was she noted that I was genuinely afraid this situation would only get worse if nothing was done. But I was also worried that taking action could lead to more retaliation from Tyree. Unfortunately, that is what happened. And a few weeks later, Tyree placed empty cat food cans under the tire of my car, which clearly meant that his intent was malicious. And there is also video footage of that as well, which is being submitted to the police. Additionally,
what did happen, Mr. Schwenning? What did happen that led to the police being called?
So she came out. I later found out that he was accusing me of stealing phones. I didn't know anything about that day on July 9th. I never heard anything about phones being stolen until the 27th when she called me again and we discussed the case again. That's when she told me there was no need to mention it to you because I know you didn't take it. I know those guys didn't take it. She literally, she really did. She was pretty clear on that. She also made some statements. Let's see. Said she attempted to contact Tyree. She said, I attempted to contact Tyree to obtain his side of the story, but every time I called, his phone went straight to voicemail. Based on my investigation, I will be forwarding charges against Tyree Fields for threats of intimidation and harassment to the Olympia Municipal Attorney for review. And I also have a police report on that. With that being said, I'm also filing a cross anti-harassment order against him. I'm in school, Your Honor, and I'm also in the process of moving to a different unit. None of us really need this time to be wasted. You don't need your time to be wasted. Some other communications with the property management. This is directly from her. She said, Josh, I just want to make you aware that we are proceeding with the legal process in regards to the multiple incidents with Tyree. I want you to be aware that he is being served with legal documents that, due to the police report and incident, have your name listed as a complainant. In regards to the incident with your car and the cat food can, we do not show or give residents camera footage. However, I would like to highly suggest you to proceed with obtaining a protection order. We are, of course, willing to provide the police or courts with any requested documents or camera footage that they may need in this process. Please inform staff and law enforcement of any additional incidents and or concerns that you have. And this communication from the property management, which I received on August 6th, clearly indicates that Tyree is anti-harassment order filed later on August 21st is not only frivolous, but also appears to be retaliatory. Both the property management and Officer Magdaleno advised me to file a protection order, and I'm currently in the process of doing that. I'll have that submitted along with all the communications with property management. I'll have the police report as well. And I also have a declaration from staff included that will be included in the anti-harassment order. See, there's also something else that I do want to bring to the court's attention. Tyree has repeatedly disclosed details about my mental health in his filings, which is a serious violation of my privacy. This kind of information is protected by my healthcare information, and that's a clear violation. I will definitely point those out in his petition. And taking all of this into account, the harassment, the retaliation, the violation of my healthcare privacy, and the defamatory statements, I believe it's crucial for the court to grant my request for a cross anti-harassment order, which in that time I'll defend against the false claims Tyree has made and to seek the protection I was advised to get back in July. And moving on to the items and the sections of the petition that he filed, there's a lot of things I'd like to point out. In the first section, what kind of protection order do you want? The item is choose the type of protection order that best fits your situation. Tyree Fields was instructed to check only one type of protection order that best fits his situation. However, he checked multiple options: domestic violence, sexual assault, stalking, and anti-harassment. This excessive contradictory selection suggests a lack of understanding or an attempt to exaggerate the situation. The next section, how do the parties know each other? The item is check all the ways the protected person is connected or related to the restrained person. The issue with this is that Fields checked. Yes, sorry.
To stop you for a second, what's helpful to me, people who fill out these orders, you and Mr. Fields, I assume you're not lawyers. People make mistakes on those all the time. I don't put a whole lot of, that's not really germane to my decision whether or not I'm going to enter an order or not. So you don't need to point that stuff out to me. What I want to know is, you've told me a lot about what's happened and the interaction you've had between the two of you and all of that, which I do appreciate. So you don't need to, I expect people to make mistakes and check wrong boxes and things of that sort. So do you have anything you wish to say about the interactions you've had between Mr. Fields and yourself?
Yeah, I do actually. So, let's see. Fields wrote, Joshua came to my room to connect my streaming system, Google Speaker. He uses my, this is a quote, he uses my Wi-Fi daily. Going to school for computers, he came to my room, he was nude. I mean, we have cameras in the apartment building, Your Honor. This, again, this is just frivolous. This is baseless. These are false accusations. Let's see. Fields checked multiple items, including this. Oh, sorry. I already read that part. Let's see. The stalking behavior item. In item C, there's no evidence just to support a claim of stalking. I have had no inappropriate contact with Mr. Fields. Mr. Fields was new to the community. We met I was taking out the trash. He was in the smoking section, and I overheard him talking about his router getting hacked. And I'm in cybersecurity. That's my major in school. So it sparked my curiosity. I was interested in engaging. So I did, and I offered some service at network security. You know, it's what I'm doing in my class right now, network security. Not now, but at that time, I was doing some network security for Cisco, and I was very much interested in expanding my experience. So I did that, and I started out was free. Then it ended up to be a continuous thing. It turned out to be like what was supposed to be like 10 minutes turned into like 3 days, and each of those 3 days was just like a couple of hours. He kept trying to find ways to keep me in his apartment. It got to the third day. He had me in his phone, trying to have his Samsung photos synced with his phone or with his Microsoft account. And along in there, he had me come across some nude photos, and I immediately looked up, and I saw him making a glass of alcohol drink, and I left. And since then, yeah, I have not had any contact with him. He's also came to my door aggressively, pounding on my door, demanding for money. I don't owe him any money, Your Honor. That's, again, these are just false accusations. Let's see. Also, he's checked that I have firearms. I don't have firearms, Your Honor. The policies on the lease agreement says that we are not supposed to have firearms on the premises, and that is just another false accusation. Let's see.
Let me hear from Mr. Johnson there, Mr. Schwenning.
Okay. Yes. Sorry.
That's okay. Mr. Johnson, you're on the telephone there? Can you unmute? *6 will unmute you.
Okay, I didn't know the phone went to mute.
Okay.
Thank
yeah,
you.
we probably did that. Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir.
Do you swear and
It's
affirm
raised.
the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Go ahead. I'll hear from you.
My relationship to Mr. Fields started back in March, and I had invited him over for a dinner. And he decided he liked the way I cooked and wanted to hire me as a caregiver that made meals for him. And it turned out to be very problematic. I told him that I have a permanent disability that's neuromuscular and skeletal. And I wouldn't be able to work full-time, barely part-time hours, maybe. And we ended up having to narrow it down to 10 hours a week because of the demands. I think he's probably a little upset about that I actually quit that job on April the 8th, where I had only been working for him for about a total of a month and 1 week as a caregiver. It was just requiring too much of my personal time to be able to take care of myself and meet my own needs. He says that I have harassed him, and I haven't even had a word to say to him in the last 4 months, in which I was very glad to keep it that way. Just trying to, keep the peace because we do live in close proximity to each other. I've never made any threats to him. I haven't ever stalked him. I look at these accusations, the allegations, and none of them are true.
Okay, thank you. I'm going to circle back to Mr. Fields. We've heard a lot. And so clear this up for me. Who owes you money? You're in the position
of Michael Johnson.
Oh, I do.
He owes me for the car.
The car?
Yes, sir. It's $5,000. Mr. Joshua, I have his text message where I gave him money and for me to come upstairs and get the money. That's what happened on July 9th. That's when he closed the door. Prior to that, he has owed me money because of something with Amazon, and he never paid me back. That's a total of $450. For Terrence Allen, it's $1,000, and for
what's that?
For,
no, I'm just here. Just let me ask the questions and get the answers, and then I'll give a ruling on this, Mr. Schwenning. So just wait a minute. Go ahead.
Okay, Terrence Allen is $1,000, and Stephen is $1,000, and I have their text messages. Mr. Swimmer has been he has records of being theft, a burglar, and for harassment. And that's what he did to me in my home because he was putting in the computer in my room.
Is that Mr. Schwenning you're talking about?
Mr. Swimmer. That's the one that I also have he was actually, he has harassment. I have the case number. He has DWLS, 3rd degree. He also charged for burglary and for theft. I also have those case numbers. And he was actually fined for theft, $35,000, and for burglary, $20,000. And that's through Thurston County. He does harass me consistently. And that's why we're having these issues. And he also owes me money as well. Mr. Allen also has DWLS 3rd degree, and he was found guilty in 1, 2, 3 different counties and Thurston County. Mr. Stephen, he came out of jail, of being in jail for 9 years, and became his caregiver. And now they're living together in the apartment. He does carry a knife every single day inside the building. There is absolutely cameras. Sometimes on certain floors they don't work, but coming inside the building, it does work. And that's why I went to management myself, because of what they have been doing. The camera on the side when they went across the street, that's when they had Stephen's car. Terrence was in front of me and Stephen was behind me. As well as, like I said, they followed me to the store, they followed me to the gas station and Albertsons. And they getting to the point where I don't even leave the house because they're always there. Okay. And that's one of the reasons why I did the small claims court. When I went to the police department.
I'm going to stop you here. Now, you've made claims against them in small claims?
Yes, I have.
Are those scheduled for hearing?
Yes, sir.
When?
I think you put it in. It's like I think it's like a month or so. Okay. You remember the dates?
So
put on there? I'm sorry, I'm asking my caregiver because she writes down the dates and stuff for me. But it's on the calendar. It's like in a month, I believe. Let me look on the calendar. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh, for October.
I was just asking out of curiosity.
Yes, October. Yes, sir.
So, I'm ready to issue rulings on these cases. Okay, and so,
Your Honor.
yes, Mr. Johnson. Yes, Mr. Johnson.
If I may, I'm a little tired here. I did forget to mention, yes, I did wreck his truck.
Just a second. I'll get to that in a minute. All right.
All right. All right.
Nation as well.
With that?
For both. For the truck, he had to
Yeah,
send
the truck.
this
Okay,
to the.
let me get to the truck.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So what's here now is not the truck. What do you want to say something, ma'am?
Yes, there was, I'd like to say something in behalf of Tyrese being a caregiver. I don't know about him being a caregiver.
Okay, so hang on, ma'am, just a second. The only thing I want to know is if you have any information about what's alleged to have been going on with these folks.
Well, I
And if
don't
it's,
know.
and if you got it from him, that's one thing.
No,
If you
no,
witness
this is
things.
all me, has nothing to do with any of this going on, what I observed.
Okay,
The reason why on number 2, we go to number 2 is that's the only place for the laundry facility.
okay, so hang on just a second,
No.
ma'am, just a second. If you're going to testify, you need to be sworn in. Could you raise your right hand?
Yes, sir.
You swear and affirm the information and testimony you provide will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Okay, for him being on floor 2, these gentlemen know that's the only floor. Number 2, number 3 is the laundry facility.
Okay.
So when I'm not there taking care of laundry or whatever, between 4 and 9 or on, he goes and does the laundry. So that's the reason why he's on 2nd floor. Gentlemen. Number 2, he's highly allergic to cats. He does not have cat food. He would not put cat food into somebody's car to kill somebody's cat, which was mentioned. He carries around an EpiPen because he's highly allergic to cats. And the other stuff, I witnessed a couple hostilities between the gentlemen there when I would come into work.
Which gentleman?
The one in the purple and tie, I do believe he cut his hair or something. He usually has it up, pointed up in the air. Or whatever.
Is he the one who went to the casino?
No, this was in the last couple days, few days. It's all tied back and cleaned up. He looks very nice and handsome. Anyway, I was coming in and Tyree was talking to me and he turned around and snapped at Tyree and verbally assaulted him. And I said, oh, wow, we're angry and bitter.
So I don't even know who you're talking about, ma'am. Which one are you talking about?
The gentleman in
Terrence
the purple
Allen.
shirt.
Yeah, the one with the tie.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he says, oh, I just don't like people being in my, and he was cussing, he was raising a voice at me. It wasn't really towards me, but it was towards him. So I witnessed a couple little hostility things and a little animosity. And the gentleman in the blue, I've seen him outside. He does pack a knife. I've seen it. When I went to his car one evening and another time since then. So he does pack a knife. I'm sure it's for protection for out there. I mean, everybody carries a knife or a weapon of whatever choice, but I feel that maybe that was a threat towards him. Even though he probably didn't mean it as a threat, it was still a threat because of the animosity going on between these people in the building. Secondly, about the hacking, yes, I've had to take my tablet and my phone in and have Motorola and Verizon took them 2 days. Somebody in his apartment, in his room, has hacked my phone and my tablet when I go to put my hours in for my work. I work for Consumer Direct Network as a caregiver. And it took them 2 days to resolve it so I can have my phone and stuff. And then I went back to his
Do you have
home.
any idea who did that?
No, is somebody there that is hacking and that's what he said, turn off all your Wi-Fi before you go in and everything. I do that and somebody would turn the Wi-Fi back on just 2 days ago. I was there and they hacked into my stuff again. And I had to go to Verizon again. And they said somebody in that building is a hacker and hacking into your equipment.
Okay. You can go be seated there, ma'am.
Thank
you. Your Honor,
No, Mr. Allen, I've heard enough. Okay. Let me give a ruling here. And then if you want to respond following my ruling, you can.
Sure.
Okay. So what's in front of me, I've heard a lot of things about a lot of things, but what's in front of me are 4 petitions for anti-harassment. You know, anytime anyone's a petitioner or a plaintiff in any sort of lawsuit, whether it's of this sort or small claims, which apparently is coming down the pike, yeah, they have a responsibility. They have to show by a preponderance of the evidence that it's more likely than not that the action actually took place. In this case, frankly, Mr. Fields, I don't find that burden has been met. And so I'm not going to enter orders against any of these folks. Okay, so that doesn't address, if someone's hacking you, ma'am, I don't, yes, you should do something about it, but I certainly can't tell who did that. And it doesn't sound like you have any idea who that did either. Mr. Fields, if any of these folks owe you money, you can certainly pursue that in terms of small claims. And apparently you're doing that. That's not going to be resolved now in front of this case. That's in front of, and I'm not sure when it is. I might be on the bench when those things come before the court on small claims, but that'll be handled there. This isn't the place to determine who owes who what. But with regard to, I mean, you live in the same place, you're going to run into each other. And apparently, at one point you were able to get along where you were given rides to casinos and so forth. That doesn't look like that's the case anymore. But you're going to run into each other. That's just the way that is. Having said all that, I'm not going to enter orders today. For you folk, you 4, Mr. Allen, Johnson, Schwenning, and Klingberg, you guys need to, I would suggest, be on your best behavior out there now. You know that Mr. Fields doesn't want anything to do with you folks at this point. So don't acknowledge him, don't engage him, don't do anything that could be misinterpreted by anybody to terms of harassment, because if this keeps up and he comes back, the result might be different next time if he can show that this is a pattern that continues. And I see you nodding, Mr. Allen. I hope you agree and understand that, and I hope everybody else does too. But that's what I'm going to do here for today.
Yes, sir.
And you can get the denial orders will be filed, and folks can get those off the Thurston County District Court website.
Awesome.
And you
Thank
folks
you.
are free to leave the Zoom call. Mr. Fields, you're free to go.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
I've often thought about, just go ahead and give them the harassment orders, just do that. But then, you put the police in a bad spot on that because, just like with that last one, the police are going to be there before the day's over. And with this one, it's going to be there before the day's over. And I've never even considered being a police officer, but, the easiest thing they could do is just arrest them and, take someone to jail. Anytime you see a police officer actually talking with somebody, it's them trying to help someone not walk themselves into jail. And these guys here, I got a feeling if we wait a couple more weeks, we're going to see them back in court again. And the whole time I keep thinking they're in a group home. Taxes are being spent on this. Taxes are getting wasted on this. There's people with college degrees. They're supposed to be therapists helping them. People supposed to be trying to help them with life management, and there's none of that going on. In the end, it seems like even the staff there is in on the drama. So, what fun! I had that one for about a week now. I've had it. I think it was Monday. Monday was when the court was, and in the end, you just got to wait for the right crowd and wait for the right time. And so it was thank you guys for being good in the comments. I got to learn a few new words I can't say on YouTube or put in the comments, but that's all. That's what we're here for, is to learn. Jay will teach me, and she'll get me in a better spot on it. Thank you guys so much, and I don't see anyone else streaming, so I don't know where to send everybody to. I was trying to see if Kitchen Court Chats was doing anything, but I can't find anything. So let's see. We got Al Jazeera. No, we won't do that. Oh, Vicky McCallum's got something going on. I'm just going to send everybody over to Vicky McCallum. You guys have a great night, and we'll see you next time.